At the two sessions in March 2024, the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, put forward a new concept of new quality productivity. The high-tech products or commodities in China that best support this concept are the new energy or electric vehicles. Last year, China overtook Japan as the world's largest exporter of automobiles, exporting nearly 5 million cars, of which 1.2 million were new energy vehicles or EVs. Can these EVs support China's high-tech and economic future? Let's have a look at the performance of BYD, China's leading EV brand. Yes, at the end of 2023, within a month, 4 BYD 4S stores caught fire. This news shocked the Chinese public. 4S stores in China refer to the dealership that provides 4-in-1 service, that is, sales, spare parts, service, and surveys. I am the owner of a spontaneously combusting BYD. I picked it up from the dealership only 7 days ago. It burned up on its own. The car is a BYD limited edition. The spontaneous combustion of the BYD EVs is getting more brutal, and it can't be stopped. This is a photo of a BYD car on fire in Hebei province in April 2024. The most shocking thing is that even an undriven BYD can catch fire. Look, this flatbed truck full of new BYD EVs is in flames. Thus, on the Chinese web, netizens say BYD is an acronym for Burn You Down. In May 2023, BYD spent nearly $500 million to acquire an insurance company, thus establishing its own insurance company. Why? Chinese netizens said it was because too many insurance companies refused to insure BYD cars that it had to resort to having its own insurance company. The owner of the burnt BYD charged the car outside his community for more than an hour and then parked it downstairs after he came back. It started smoking and catching fire on its own. The owner said that he bought his car from a proper source and that the maintenance was done at a 4S store. If the #1 EV brand in China spontaneously combusts like what we saw, how do other Chinese EV brands stack up? Netizens have been filming more and more spontaneous combustion scenes of various EVs. This fire happened within minutes. We are veteran drivers who have been driving for 18 years. It's the first time we've encountered something like this. This EV came out of the factory in September 2017. The total kilometer count is just over 70,000 kilometers. I haven't heard back from them how to resolve the issue. I called the after-sales office and they didn't care. My car is still in my friend's garage. I think the manufacturer should come out and take responsibility to resolve this matter.
After seeing this car burnt like this, I don't even dare to sit in the car when I charge it. Every time I charge the car, I unplug the charging cable before I dare to go inside.
This is a residential area in the capital city of Hunan province. In the early morning hours, the parking lot caught fire and dozens of cars were destroyed. So far, no company, no government department, or insurance company has come to take care of the situation.
The loss of hundreds of thousands of yuan. The car is scrapped. We just bought it less than a year ago.
It's all burnt to the ground, and there's a 12,000 RMB camera inside, a 3,000 RMB watch, and more than 4,000 RMB in cash. It's all gone. I told the insurance company that I needed to be compensated for these. The insurance company said that the best they could do was to cover the full insurance of the car. Whether we approach the car dealership or the property owner, they all kick the can down the road. No one has come forward to take responsibility for the incident. On January 19, 2024, footage of an EV spontaneously combusting on the road was circulated on social media. It was suspected to be a Leapmotor C11, with the fire started at the rear end. It started at the rear tires and chassis and instantly engulfed the entire vehicle in flames, leaving it as an empty shell. In 2023, the Leapmotor C11 was described in the Chinese media as follows. The Leapmotor C11, as the ceiling of the 200,000 class pure electric SUV, has excellent comprehensive product power and its market sales are also climbing. According to relevant delivery data, Leapmotor delivered up to 12,058 units in May 2023. Another auto star in China, XPeng, suffers from the same problem of spontaneous combustion. Here is footage of an XPeng EV catching fire next to a charging post in a parking lot in Zhejiang province on January 18, 2024, burning into an empty shell. According to data from China's Emergency Management Department, in the first quarter of 2023 alone, the rate of spontaneous combustion in new energy vehicles rose 32%, with an average of 8 new energy vehicles catching fire, including spontaneous combustion, every day. It's likely a retouched figure anyway. So, why are EVs in China so prone to spontaneous combustion? The reason is that whenever there is a collision, the battery will be impacted. Once the battery is squeezed, even if no problem appears at the moment, the battery may gradually ignite because there is liquid inside the battery, which will cause problems once it leaks out. Therefore, the safety of the battery car is a headache issue that Chinese EV manufacturers can't solve. Neither can American companies like Tesla. Tesla relies on precautions to manage the issue. It uses advanced technology to monitor the battery. Once the battery is found to be faulty, the car will automatically be locked, and drivers won't be able to open it until the battery is repaired. In this way, it reduces the rate of accidents caused by combustion. Chinese automakers don't have this technology, thus the rate of battery combustion becomes very high. Here, on January 14, 2024, a fire broke out in a bus parking lot in Shandong province, torching 8 buses, 7 of which were burned down to empty shells, leaving the site covered in smoke and flames. The cause of the fire was said to be due to a battery catching fire. A year ago, a large-scale fire of the same sort happened in Hainan province. On January 30, 2023, a fire broke out in a vacant lot where new energy buses were parked, resulting in the burning of 67 buses in a fire area of more than 1,800 square meters. In the same province, an EV suddenly caught fire while charging, affecting a taxi that was charging next to it. In just half an hour, both vehicles were completely burned. The charging station was also damaged.
哎呀，新能源的朋友们注意点吧，自然火灾，自然火灾。
这充电，充他妈着火了，这俩车烧废了。
This is an EV catching fire while on a bridge in Shanghai. It's a known brand as well, the JAC Seahole 150A, with a guide price of $20,000 to $26,000. What's ironic is that the brand's storefront has a floor sign that reads, "Never ever spontaneous combustion." Huawei, a company with a military background, has teamed up with an EV brand, Series, for a stellar product, but it resulted in a tragedy. Check out previous footage from the show. On April 26, a Huawei AITO M7 Plus was involved in a serious traffic accident. A family of 3 didn't survive. The person who uploaded the video wrote, "In the afternoon of April 26, my brother was driving a Huawei AITO M7, a 3-month-old new car. It rear-ended a watering truck on the highway while driving at a high speed. My husband, my brother, and my son, who was just 2 years old, were killed. After the rear-end collision, there was an explosion in the car." Afterward, the platform deleted the video posted by the passing drivers on Douyin. The family members of the victims also questioned why automatic emergency braking and God automatic emergency braking didn't kick in. Why did the battery catch fire even though it was so well protected? Why didn't the airbags do their job?
出事故之前，信徒们说这辆车叫做华为。
Before the accident, the car was called the Huawei AITO M7. Fans of Huawei said it's called the Huawei AITO M7 and that it has nothing to do with series. It was a complete solution provided by Huawei, and Huawei made it far ahead of the pack. Huawei has made the best SUV within the 10 million mark. The model is also sold in Huawei stores, and Huawei CEO Yu Chengdong personally held a press conference for it. As soon as the accident occurred, they immediately began to throw blame. I mean, they immediately began to correct it. How could this have anything to do with Huawei? The auxiliary system was from Bosch. In the end, Bosch refuted that the car wasn't equipped with the system developed by Bosch. Some netizens even found out who provided the door handles for the M7 that failed to open. It's BYD. That's right, it's the same BYD that's known for its quality issues. I believe we have all seen the quality of BYD ourselves. Therefore, I think it's quite normal for such a problem to arise. The same goes for EVs made by BYD itself. Of course, we can't conclude too early. However, we should look at these car makers and watch if their boasts have come true. We will know then if we can buy this car or not. The Huawei AITO accident has scared a lot of car owners. This woman fumbled around in her car to look for the emergency door, but it wouldn't open. She couldn't open the emergency door given all her might. Huawei is a company known for its cell phones, and the slogan for its latest cell phone is, "Far ahead of the curve." This slogan has now become a joke among Chinese netizens, but it's risky to make fun of Huawei and China's EVs. Autonomous driving is far ahead. After drinking a little wine, I will tell you about my true views on this matter. If this thing is that far ahead, why don't leaders use it? Why don't officials use it? And many of their security guards don't use it either. In the end, it's people who get deceived and use their own lives to experiment, becoming the so-called guinea pig. Even if this thing does come out ahead in a few decades, what does it matter? How will it change life? What do we get out of it? This car blogger has been reported to the police. He received a private text saying, "Your video about domestic electric cars has been reported as evidence, and the National Security Bureau has filed a case against you and will investigate the funding sources of the anti-Chinese forces behind the scenes." As EVs gain more and more consumers, their problems are being exposed more and more, especially by those who often have to get their EVs repaired. The so-called new energy vehicles are a big scam. If you look at the chassis brakes of this EV, it's practically the same as the old electric car, the low-speed electric mobility scooter. It's so small and thin that it could fall apart at any time. Look, the brake pads are rusty. This is the car I bought for over 100,000 RMB. It's in such a shabby state. Look at the chassis. I can't even look at it. Who would want a car like this? I don't think anyone would want it even if it's free. And I don't know what's wrong with this tire. It's especially prone to puncture, and it costs a few tens of yuan to fix it. It hurts my wallet so much. But this mechanic is quite professional. He used professional equipment to repair the back of the car. There was a nail in the tire and it had to be fixed once before. This time it's the same tire. If there is one more time, this tire won't last. It's likely necessary for a replacement. It costs more than 400 yuan to have a new tire. What should I do? It's worrisome. This EV has only run for more than 70,000 kilometers. Now it's as noisy as a tractor. Here is how it sounds. A mechanic showed an EV waiting to be repaired. It's a known brand in China, WM Motor.
这就是威马的减速器。
This is the gearbox of WM. This is the first, second, and third axles, and look again, the bearings are already falling apart. The new car-making force is just a bluff. The visible parts of the car are made quite high grade, but the invisible parts are made of garbage. They don't even bother to give you a decent bearing for a few tens of yuan. I'm not just talking about WM Motor, but all the new car makers. Sooner or later, they all have to close down just like WM Motor.
早晚都得跟威马一样倒闭。
He also compared BYD and Tesla.
这是网友30万人民币的比亚迪。
This is a comparison between the hood of a BYD, which my friend bought for 300,000 yuan, and the hood of a Tesla, which he paid 240,000 yuan for. The hood of the BYD is just like paper mache, and when you gently press it, there will be a big dent. Look at Tesla, press it all over, and people can even step on it. It's obvious which brand is cutting corners.
和特斯拉，谁在偷工减料？
China has been subsidizing EVs for 13 years, starting in 2009. Based on driving range, each vehicle can be subsidized up to 50,000 yuan per vehicle. Officials say the central government subsidies for EVs totaled 150 billion yuan, or more than 20 billion over the 13-year period. In addition, there are also subsidies from local governments in terms of funding, taxation, land use, and other factors, and the amount of subsidies is not less than the central government's. In other words, for every EV produced in China before 2022, enterprises can get up to 120,000 yuan or 17,000 in subsidies from the government. This figure is stunning. It means a company can get such a large amount of subsidy for producing the simplest EV in China. That is, an EV with a battery and a motor with a range of more than 300 kilometers. It's likely it won't cost this much to make such a simple unit. Under a strong advertising campaign, many Chinese were enticed to buy domestic EVs. The pain can only be felt after the purchase. During a 5-day vacation in early May, many people chose to drive rather than fly to save money. They didn't realize that charging the EV would be a big problem for the trip. This is a video taken at 3:42 a.m. on the morning of May 1st. When a charging station in China was crowded with people who couldn't sleep or rest in peace. EV owners in Beijing are also facing difficulties in charging their vehicles. Likely, it won't be my turn to charge for at least 6 hours.
I've been to 4 service areas and I can't get a charge. The lineups at the charging stations in all the service areas. There's so many EVs now. Can't they install more charging stations in the service areas?
In some service areas, there are fierce battles among car owners for charging piles. On January 16, 2024, the chairman of China's Chang'an Auto publicly exposed that there was no bottom line for vicious competition in the auto industry. He said that car companies use exaggerated and fake tricks in their advertising campaigns to attract consumers. For example, the acceleration performance of a certain model is average, but through special effects of video editing and advertising, it has created a sense of speed, misleading consumers. Some advertisements have actors dressed in luxury clothing, projecting a feel of a high-end luxury car for what's supposed to be an affordable family car. Some car companies pay a high endorsement fee to hire a celebrity to endorse their products, but the spokespersons are just paid a high price to act without ever experiencing the quality and performance of the products. This is not only cheating consumers, but also violating business ethics.
这个行业怎么这么糟糕，是吧？明明就几万块钱的车，几十万块钱的车，非要说上千万，这个行业啊，确实卷得很厉害，很多重要的人物说话都乱说了。
At the Beijing International Auto Show from April 25th to May 4th, this auto blogger teased that the show was like a copycat show. I found that the Beijing Auto Show should be renamed as the Beijing Auto Copycat Expo. You will see all brands of EVs, and you can't count how many similar front faces and how many similar backs there are. Just because you can't get a real deal, you look for a substitute.